Hi everybody, welcome back to Stumpy Grump Scale Speed Shop. It's time to start another project, and this one is going to be the Revell 1969 Pontiac GTO. This is a re-release of the old monogram 124 scale GTO, and like all the other monogram 124 scale kits, it's lower parts count. There's only 63 pieces in this one, so not a lot there, but it still builds up into a pretty nice kit, pretty nice GTO. Get a really expansive decal sheet with a bunch of stripes and everything. So yeah, still a nice kit. I'm going to be doing it as the orange Judge. I know plain, so many people have done them in the orange, but that's just what I wanted. But I'm looking forward to it. So let's see what we're dealing with the parts here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the clear parts. We have the windshield and the rear glass. Got some turn indicators here and the quarter windows. So pretty decent looking glass. With these things that are one piece, I usually cut these pieces off so I don't have all this extra plastic. To me, it helps it fit better. On to the tires. I will not be using these tires. I think they're too big anyways, too tall. But they're not bad. Nice looking tread. And just generic, no markings. But I won't be using the tires. Nor will I be using the wheels. I took one off already. I wanted to measure it, but they are nice looking rally wheels. Okay, but when you measure them, I got out my old trusty digital caliper here, and they scale out to 17-inch wheels, and they just look a little funky with the tires, a little too tall, too skinny to me. Moving on to the front grille part, shifter, rear mirror, valve covers, and the taillight panel and bumper. We'll get out the frame and chassis with the molded in gas tank, some radiator stuff, the radiator cap and part of the radiator. We have a radiator hose. Here's some steering linkage and everything molded in. And then of course the fender wells for the front, but not too bad. And then we go to the interior tub, where it's a one-piece tub, no separate door panels or anything like that. You can still do a decent job of detailing. There's some pretty nice engraving here, so these stick out pretty good, the window cranks, so you can get those painted up really good. The center console, the carpet area does have some texture to it. I will probably use embossing powder, as I usually do. Molded in pedals here. And most of the back seat is there in your package tray, package shelf there. We go to the rear spoiler. One-piece rear spoiler. The dashboard. Some engine parts. The water pump, front engine cover. Looks like the wiper motor. Exhaust manifolds, your tack. A two-piece rear end with the exhaust and drive shaft molded on. You can cut those off and detail them as you want, or you can paint it all as it is. I haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. I don't know. Looks like you could probably do a pretty good job painting everything as it is. And we have armrests with a door handle, so not too bad. Even though it's basic, not too bad there. Gonna make it at least look three-dimensional. Moving on to the other part of the rear end, the front suspension that's not already molded in. Two-piece engine block with a molded in starter and oil filter. Fan, steering column, alternator, the top of the battery, which is pretty small for a 124 scale. Steering wheel, belts and pulleys, two-piece seats, the fronts of the seats and the seat backs. Here's most of the radiator, most of the rest of the radiator support, and the other part of the back seat. We're going to go to the hood. Nicely detailed ram air hood for the GTO. Wheel backs. The GTO, the ram air induction system there, air cleaner and such. Carburetor. Looks like another shifter. Intake with the molded in distributor. And your front end. Now the front end is going to be able to be glued on before painting. So I'll be doing that. Trimming it up, cleaning it all up, and then I'll put it on before I do any priming and painting. And now we get to the GTO body. Really nice looking body. Here is the top of the radiator, the rest of that, and the support. The firewall is molded in, as is this little steering column piece here. A little different, but not too bad. Door handles molded in. You have GTO script that's engraved, molded on there. I don't know if I'm going to sand that off. You do get GTO markings in your decal sheet, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. And the back. It's a pretty clean body, not a lot of flash on it, not a lot of flash on these parts in general at all. Just a little bit of sharp mold line there and the typical mold line up on this panel here. So I'll be sanding that up, cleaning that out, deepening the panel lines like I always do on the doors and on the trunk there. But nice looking body. I have not done a GTO yet. I'm shocked and surprised at that. I actually have not done a GTO yet, so this will be my first one. We will move on to the decal sheet. You do get the Firestone wide oval white letter decals. This is new from these manufacturers over the past 5 or so years, because they're including the white letter decals for your tires. Seat belts, 4 different color options for your Judge stripes and Judge markings. The Judge license plate, Michigan license plates. You have the rear GTO decal, white and black ram air decals, and there are your GTO scripts right there. Of course, your gauges, which is awesome. Your center caps for your wheels, and some engine detail stuff. So really nice decal sheet. A lot of choices of water stickers there. Now to the instruction sheet. Just a basic, typical instruction sheet. They list a lot of steps, but there's not much to do in some of these steps, you know. So pretty basic in general, and it gives you where to put all the decals, all the water stickers, your stripes, your Judge, your stripes, and all that. But what I like about this particular instruction sheet, your typical Revell ones that show you all the parts, what the parts are by number. So that's pretty cool always. But this one has the 1969 GTO body colors and the matching stripe color for that body color to help you out, if you give you some ideas on that. So pretty cool there. I like that aspect of things. But like I said, mine is going to be orange, and I'm going to be using Tamiya acrylic X6 orange. I'll be thinning it. This is pretty thin, so I'm not going to need to thin it too much already. It's pretty thin already. So I'll be airbrushing this on. And what I've done, I showed you the wheels and tires. I got these from Jay's Rosin Wheels and Tires. These are the 17-inch Pontiac Rallies. Okay, you get the disc brakes with them. Really nice. This guy sells some really nice stuff, let me tell you. I've used a couple of sets of his wheels already, and they are excellent. But if you can tell, they're just a little bit wider tire, I think. Let's check it out with the digital caliper here. 9.9 millimeters. And 9.8, 9.9 millimeters. So basically the same width tire. Maybe a millimeter difference. But as you can see, you have a deeper dish for the back, which I like. Pretty cool. So it's basically going to be a factory stock build, but not a factory stock build. And these 17-inch wheels are just like a millimeter bigger than the kit wheels, because the kit wheels, like I said, measure out to be 17 scale inches as well. So not a big difference, but the tires are shorter. It's more of a realistic tire, not that tall tire. So that'll fit in the wheel wells pretty good. Okay, that's the plan. That's what I got going. I'm gonna stop the video right here, get going on the parts cleanup and everything, and maybe see you in a couple days with my first update. Alrighty, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.